Okay, everybody, welcome to The Stretch. Before we get into anything, I want to talk about ChevyDriveChicago.com. We are starting off the year right and with big news. You guys all know we are giving away a Chevy. That's right. Chevy Drive Chicago wants to give you a chance to win the car that you want. You get to pick it, win it, and drive it. So many great cars to pick from the Chevy lineup. There's one that's perfect for you and what you need. If you need a truck you can depend on, pick the Silverado. If you're ready to go EV, the Equinox EV is perfect for you. Want an SUV? The Blazer or the Equinox is what you need. Dave, if you won the raffle, which I know we can't, which would you go with?
I would be going with the Silverado, I think.
I think I would too.
I think I'd go with the Silverado.
I can't go wrong, but I think I would too.
Maybe the Blazer. I don't know.
Blazer's great. They're all
there's
great.
There's a whole lineup of possibilities that.
Yeah, they're all great. They are all great. Entering is easy. Like I said, go to ChevyDriveChicago.com to enter to win. You answer a few questions. It takes less than 5 minutes. In the meantime, go shop at your local Chevy dealer today, the official partner of the Chicago Bears. And on that note, welcome to The Stretch, everyone. A lot to talk about. A million Bears moves. We have Robert Horry, NBA legend, coming on later. And then the Blackhawks trade deadline as well. So first and foremost, like I said, a shit ton happened since we last talked.
Yeah.
And I think none bigger than DJ Moore going to the Bills for a second rounder.
I would argue that Dalman was bigger because it was unexpected. We all kind of braced ourselves for the DJ Moore signing.
I'd say Dalman was more shocking, obviously, but I would say DJ was the bigger piece.
And he was like the first piece of this rebuild to come in.
Right.
Center of that huge trade with the Panthers. He was a good soldier here for a long time. I think we were all kind of talking about it where if you have the ascendancy of hopefully Rome and Burden next year to go with Colson Loveland, you can make an argument that DJ becomes your fourth option, and you just can't have your highest paid player being your fourth option.
Right. Yeah, listen, like I said, I don't think that many people are surprised, but I do think there were maybe a small sector of people who thought this was a bluff the whole time we were keeping DJ. I do think a lot of people thought that was bullshit.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the right deal came together.
Because
I thought when it was announced, I think it was either Schefter or Rappaport said the compensation returning would be a mid-round draft.
Yes.
And that to me means a 3 or a 4. And it's like, if it's a 4, like whatever, draft capital, you get the money off the books, like a pure cap dump. I was pretty excited when they got a second-round pick back.
Oh, how can you not be?
Yeah.
That's a home run.
Right.
That's a great trade by Ryan Poles.
Great trade.
I don't about it.
I don't think you can really compare it to what they traded for DJ Moore with like Caleb Williams and Tyreek Stevenson and all that. But it is kind of funny that it eventually became a second-round pick that you add to that entire trade package that eventually landed them Caleb.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the money matters. So that factors into all of this. And I don't know, I think there was probably a small sector of people that were like, well, maybe they'll run it back one more year, and then when he's more easy to trade once the cap.
Yeah. I certainly thought that was a possibility.
Yeah, so did I. Like, it wasn't surprising, like, we'll get to Dalman in a second. That was shocking. This was like, all right.
Yeah.
This has been talked about. Obviously, we thought we were floating him for Crosby. That didn't happen. But, yeah, DJ was a good soldier. What's the case? Can you make me a case for why this was a bad move?
Well,
give me that side of the argument.
I think that side of the argument is he is still a good football player.
Yeah.
That's number one. So when you lose him, they also, not that it's the biggest deal, but just in terms of roster construction, they also lost Zacchaeus. So now we talked about those 3 guys, the young players, either first or second year players, heading into their second and third years. You don't really have a veteran guy to kind of lead that, to be like almost like a safety blanket. I'm not saying DJ Moore was for Caleb necessarily. He certainly was for Justin Fields, but it just felt like his usage went down. Having a guy as good as him, and you look where the Bears went in the biggest moments of the year, DJ Moore was the guy. So the Packers games, they went to him. Obviously, the overtime one against the Rams, they were still looking to him, whether he ran the wrong route or it was miscommunication or what. It just ended up in an interception. But like in critical moments, he came through very big for the Bears. And it's like that type of a player. He had the C on his chest. Like he was a veteran leader of a young core and a young offense. And hopefully other people can move up and take those roles and those touches. But that would be the downside. In addition to now, it's like, you could spend a second or third round pick on a wide receiver, maybe find someone in free agency, but that depth chart has taken a big hit.
Yeah, Jade Walker is the 3 right now as it stands as we record this episode. And I gotta say, I did like what the Bears what he showed of himself in his limited time. Snapping up
that's
last year.
kind of if you start the year with him as your 3, that's a problem. Do you see another downside other than what I laid out?
No, I think you laid a good case for sure. I think there definitely is an argument if there is a guy who you want to physically catch the ball, like who you're least afraid to drop it. I think DJ would be on probably the top of that list, right? Yeah, but I would say obviously Rome had more than him.
Yeah,
Luther had a couple, so maybe
a couple like memorable ones.
Yeah,
but
maybe
like
you could make the case for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think you made a good case. But at the end of the day, it's just a dollars and cents thing, and it's just we're loaded there right now,
right?
So it just made sense.
Yeah, and it's like he had his worst statistical year. So he had I think 600 something yards. I think he was still first or second in yards on the team in receiving. But if you go from right around 1,000, basically his entire career except for his rookie year, down to 600, and it did even just watching the games, it felt like he was just, I don't know if he wasn't like a perfect fit for Ben Johnson or whatever. It just felt like scheme-wise, he wasn't the primary target
seemed
anymore.
Off this year a little bit.
But yeah,
his biggest year was with Justin Fields.
What?
His biggest year,
the
3 years with the Bears with Justin Fields.
Yeah,
and I still think he's really talented. I still think he's a really good wide receiver.
Yeah, he'll have a good year.
Oh, he's going to be awesome for the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills fans will be very happy.
He's going to be awesome for the Bills, and while he was awesome with the Bears with Justin Fields, he was like the only option. With Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So,
but I remember going back
to more coverage though too.
Yeah, I remember going to the old office. We were arguing with Brandon Walker about if he's number 1 or not. Obviously things change after a few years, but at that time,
he was absolutely number one. Yeah,
he's a number 1 wide receiver for sure, and he'll fill that role for Buffalo.
Yeah,
very nicely.
Yep.
I wouldn't be shocked if he goes off for 1,000 and 8 or 9 touchdowns again next year.
Not at all. I think that's expected.
That's totally.
Yeah, when you're getting paid, that's why I got paid that much.
Correct.
That's why they gave up a second-round pick for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, unforgettable memories with DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a solid Bear. I don't want to say a great Bear. I think he obviously they didn't win shit with him until his last year, but he was a very solid Bear, and
he has a play that will be remembered forever.
Correct.
Forever.
Totally. Forever.
Yeah, multiple. Yeah.
Like if you're gonna list out just of our lifetimes, like the top 10 plays of Bears history, I think both of those catches are on there.
Yeah, they're up there for sure.
At least the regular season one for sure. Yeah,
and then we could keep it there if we want to keep it on Zacchaeus for a second. He was a guy that training camp, he was pretty much the darling.
Yeah,
I remember Teron Armstead sat in that seat and was like, I don't know who that guy was, but he looked really good out there. We're like, what if we told you he's been in the league for 6 years? He's like, oh, fuck. He's like, I should know that. But the way he looked in that field, he looked awesome. Didn't really translate, even though he had a lot of time on the field. I felt like he was always out there.
Yeah.
He was fine.
Less so as the year went on. As Colston Loveland emerged and they went to more 12 and 13 personnel with all the tight ends, I feel like his play chart kind of reflected that. But I remember at the beginning of the year, I'm like, looking at DraftKings, Zacchaeus over 2.5, obviously. Yeah. It seldom felt like it seldom hit. So I had, I think like everyone else had high expectations for him, and he was fine.
Yeah. He was a depth guy.
He was a depth guy.
They'll find another, how do you say his first name? Alameda Zacchaeus in free agency or the draft this year.
Yeah.
He's got nothing you can't duplicate for really cheap in free agent capital or draft capital.
Yeah, so I expect them to go get someone to be the number 3.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be Jade Walker.
No shot.
All right, we can move it along to Dalman. Just stunning news. I haven't seen a ton since the announcement.
Has he
reasoning wise or anything like that?
He doesn't strike me as a guy that will. A lot of people were speculating that it was because
injuries.
I don't know if it was like a specific injury, more I don't want to say fear because that makes him sound like a fuck this, I'm just hanging it up type guy, but he's not. It sounded like he was just looking out for later on in his life, his head and his brain and all that. I have no idea if that's true or not, but if it is, I can't really blame him for that. It's a violent sport, but it really fucking...
This is why you can't pay Stanford guys. You know,
apparently,
like
yeah.
he has a brain. He wants to use it for something else. Like that sucks for us.
Yeah.
But and would they sign him 3 years, 42?
Yeah.
So I think he got a lot of that up front too. So I think he was looking at the remainder of his contract and just like,
I already made my money. Yeah.
Good for him though. If he wants
Yeah.
to walk away, like I have no ill will. Like
No.
it's your
No,
fucking life.
it's just like you go from that being arguably the strongest part of your team, the interior line, to now it's a gaping hole.
Well, yeah, you go into the playoffs even. Like legitimately the playoffs months ago, being like, oh, our offensive line's set. Then Trapillo gets hurt.
Yeah.
Then this happens. It's like, oh shit, we got to replace our left tackle and our center. So not ideal.
40%
Yes.
of the line, the unit.
It's not ideal at all considering we thought we were good. But
yeah.
I am not as the sky isn't falling like some people seem to be over this. Like I think they will find a more than fine replacement, whether it's Bradbury, who they traded a 5th rounder to with the Patriots, or I don't know. But
based on what
think we will be
Patriots
fine.
fans I know they're not, no fan base is completely indicative of how a player performs on the field. But based on what they said that he was good. He was fine. Better in pass pro than run pro, but I also, if you're putting him right next to Joe Thuney and co, then I have a feeling that there's going to be an uptick in play with him should he be the starter heading into the 2026 season. So I'm not too worried about it.
The stat that jumps out at you is that he had 0 sacks allowed last year and 642 snaps.
That's a good number.
At least holding more than holding your own in the passing game. It's the concern in the run game where Dalman and Thuney and those guys that was like the focus and the strength of this offense, and you just hope he can be able to duplicate that.
Yeah.
So there's him, and then they like McFadden enough to toss him into a playoff game.
Yeah.
So there's that. I don't know if he could play center or not. And then I don't know what the hell's going on with Ryan Bates, but they did bring him in at one point to be a starter, and nothing came to fruition. But regardless, if that's kind of a 3-player position battle, like I said, I'm not totally clear on this. It's always like a weird period of time where it's like who's staying, who's going. But if they bring those guys back, like I'm okay with those 3 guys.
Yeah,
it out.
Maybe it's not one of the best lines in the league, but it'll still be a very good line. And some of that you hope that as Caleb grows, the reliance on like an all-pro center to like make line calls and shit like that isn't as drastic.
Yeah, and we were never getting Linderbaum.
No,
it was just never happening.
His money was
crazy, and I should have noted off the top it is 1 p.m. Central Time Monday. So anything that happens after here, we probably don't know. But yeah, he has signed with the Raiders since then. Good for him. He got paid highest money for an interior lineman ever. They worth
needed
it. He's a fucking stud.
Yep.
And I think that's a good move by them. But for the Bears, I just never really saw that panning out.
Yeah, that was kind of, it just ended up being like Crosby for Linderbaum swap.
Yeah.
Like that money that they could have given to him, they gave to Crosby and vice versa. So
yeah. I guess we'll just kind of keep it position groups. Theo Benedict's back on a 1-year, $1 million. So good depth.
Yep. He was serviceable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't want him
and
your opening day left tackle, but
you think he can keep getting better as the hope too, where he will be a fine plug and play guy. So which was
a fine swing tackle.
Yeah,
exactly. And the other big news, I believe it happened Friday night. Like Chief just alluded to, we missed on Max Crosby. If we were ever really in the running, who knows? I saw people buying that fake guy on Twitter saying that the Bears did offer 2 firsts. I haven't seen it outside of that, though.
No.
I think Rich Eisen got duped by.
That's what I thought, too, because people were saying Rich Eisen reported. I was like, did Rich see that, or did he have it?
And that's like as, I don't want to say good, but it's as believable of a troll account as you can get.
For sure. It did look very real.
Yeah.
And people are quote tweeting the shit out of it. If anyone didn't see it, it essentially said the Bears offered 2 firsts as well, but since the Ravens have a higher draft spot, they went with them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I initially saw it. I was like, fuck. I was disappointed. I'm not like mad we didn't sign him. I just love Max Crosby.
Yeah, he would have been an incredible Bear.
He's a freak, and he plays with like that attitude you want.
Yeah.
They don't really have on defense any guys that you would describe as like a game wrecker.
Yeah.
He would have been.
He's a guy who makes the other 10 guys better.
Yeah.
He's a fucking star.
Yeah.
Max Crosby's a star.
He would have been a star on and off the field in Chicago.
Yeah.
It would have been really fun to watch. But for the 2 firsts, I don't hate it.
So that's the thing. Would you guys have given up 2 firsts for it?
It's so hard sitting here right now because, like, I did we'll get into who they signed, but I put out a tweet being like the Bears have signed a safety and a defensive tackle, and there still needs our safety and defensive tackle, which is a joke, but now you need another wide receiver. You do need a left tackle. You do need another. So it's like there's only so much money to go around. You have Caleb's contract looming, and it's just like at the end of the day, I think I would probably say no.
Say no?
Yeah.
I think he's that much of an impact player. Because remember, initially they were saying...
Don't get me wrong. I would have been very excited if they pulled the trigger on that.
Yeah.
But I think maybe I still have like a little PTSD from Khalil Mack where...
Which he's not an option as well anymore, which sucks.
Yeah. But you still like have to be like, okay, we do have the quarterback here. Like, we do have the quarterback, which means we're not necessarily just sprinting to win while Caleb's on his rookie deal. This is a longer term project. You're going to need to have these young control guys as we go along. So I think 2 firsts it would have been pretty tough.
You're right. And I think initially they said 2 firsts and a premier player, which is what Parsons got with Kenny Clark. They were close. They didn't get the premier player, but they did get 2 firsts. And the list of players who have gotten traded for 2 firsts is very low.
Yep.
The Bears have done it twice. So if we would have done it a third time,
Jay and Khalil.
So we probably would have been higher on that list of teams who have done that multiple times.
Yeah.
Probably not a list you want to be on.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. So I see that perspective. I guess picking in the 20s and assuming we're going to be good this year, that's where I felt a little better about it.
Yeah, picking it's a big difference between picking top 10 and or even in the teens.
For sure.
25.
Yeah, I just think so highly of him.
Yeah. No, I do.
Good reason.
I think everybody does. Like he's a freak. It would have been so exciting to get him. It's just like I don't know. I think I would have got a little bit like gun shy if I was sitting in that chair.
Yeah.
One thing that you just brought up was Caleb's contract looming, and I saw this tweet from Bill Zimmerman a couple days ago, March 8th, so yesterday, and he brought up a good point. The salary cap in 2022 was about $208 million. This year it was $301 million. There are new TV deals, et cetera, coming up. That's almost $100 million over 4 years. So you project Caleb out a couple years. If he is getting 60, 65, 70 million per year, hopefully their contracts go up with that. So it's like it's not like hockey. I understand that, but like.
And there's holdout. There,
yeah.
I don't. He's going to get what he gets.
He's going to get what he gets. However, I don't think the cap is as big of a snafu down in the future.
I hope not.
As people are making it seem at the exact present. So,
from a linebacker standpoint, Tremaine Edmonds is out. DeMarco Jackson is back. 2 years, $10 million, 7.5.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
Okay, got into actually not a big debate, but I was talking about it outside with some of the Bears fans we have out there. I was one of the early people I feel banging on the Tremaine Edmonds doesn't look good drum 2 years ago. I feel.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, yep. I thought he looked a little bit better last year than he did the previous year.
At spurts when he was healthy.
For sure,
half
yeah.
the year,
He looked, but that's how little I kind of thought of him the previous year. However, and listen, it was a no-brainer. You had to cut him.
Yeah.
Money-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Are you 100% confident rolling into this season with DeMarco Jackson as a starter, granted how good he was in limited time last year?
No.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Some people out there were like, oh, no, he was awesome. Like, I fully expect him to be our guy. And I'm like, I like him. I think it's a good deal. I do it every time. I'm excited to see him in a larger role. But I just cannot have as much confidence in him and TJ Edwards. I think you still got to bring another guy in or you're going to draft him.
And Anzalone just signed with someone.
I have a guy that I am kind of hoping for in the draft.
Okay.
And I think he's almost like a household name now.
Rodriguez?
Yeah.
From Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a star.
Probably a 3rd round pick if the mock drafts are accurate. So it's like he's in range for them. They have a few picks in that, they have the extra second. So that's somebody that I they tried with Noah Sewell he's fine. Probably more of like a special team. You don't really love him as a starter necessarily either. I would love to invest in that position and try to get like a real guy who can play 3 downs and kind of be what we kind of thought Tremaine was gonna be.
Yes.
Where Tremaine, Buffalo Bills Tremaine was a stud.
Yeah.
And we just never saw him reach that level with the Bears. So,
all right, so we're on the same page.
yeah.
Okay, are you on that same page, or are you
Totally.
kind of like, no, I'm
Totally.
ready to give this guy the car keys?
No, he was good in limited time last year. I don't know how much of that is because the opposing offenses didn't really have much to game plan around. But no, they need a lot more help on defense in the front 7, including the linebackers, and it's still not a good defense.
And that's not a shot at DeMarco Jackson.
No.
I'm happy we brought him back. I think he's worthy of that money, and I think he filled in great. But I think it's just a different type of ball game.
Yeah. Now, he is a Dennis Allen guy.
Uh-huh.
The Saints drafted him. He played there. Dennis Allen knew him well, put him in positions to be successful. You could hope to mirror that this year, but the workload, and I still have the Baltimore game kind of burned in my brain where it was a rough game for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so regardless of whether he's a starter or not, they need more bodies in that position group in general.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna. I would be shocked if they didn't do something in the draft to get a linebacker there.
So then, what's your final eulogy for the Tremaine Edmonds era, Dave?
I don't. He existed as a Chicago Bear.
I'll give you one. In probably 6 or 7 years, I will have forgotten he was a Chicago Bear.
Oh,
He just
Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
yeah. He, like I said, I thought he was pretty bad 2 years ago. He was a little better last year.
I'd agree with that.
Never quite lived up to that deal we gave him, I would say.
not even it's hard
close.
for me to remove the Roquan element of
For
it.
Yeah.
sure.
Because Roquan is that twitchy, all-pro, good at everything type of linebacker. And they got in Edwards and Edmonds, and we're like, oh, you got 2 guys for the price of one.
And Edwards, I think, has been great.
Yeah.
I've been very happy with him.
I agree. But, like, you need that. This is Chicago, and, like, you need, like, that Mike linebacker here. It's just part of the culture, and he just never really did it for me.
Okay. And then we have 2 signings here. We signed a D-tackle, Novell Gallimore, 2 years, $12 million. We also signed a safety, big money, Kobe Bryant from the Seahawks, Super Bowl champ, 3 years, $40 million, which obviously means the end of probably Brisker.
Well,
And or Byard.
Yeah, and or Byard.
Bryant's more of a free safety,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Byard position.
Yeah.
So, not that they can't flip or whatever, but
I think, yeah. Sorry.
I would think that this means both of those guys are probably gone.
I
I was
would
hoping
imagine.
Byard would
Yeah.
be re-signed.
Same. But I'm excited. I mean, the number one thing that I always look at is like how disappointed was the opposing fan base to lose their guy.
Yep.
And the Seahawks fans are like, fuck, we really wanted this guy.
Yeah,
Like almost more so than Kenneth Walker, who they lost to the Chiefs.
yeah. Well,
So-
part of that is they got Zach Charbonnet ready to come back
For
too.
sure. But stunning that our first big money deal was a safety, though.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't either. I thought it would be either Byard for a short-term deal, kind of kick the can down the road on that position, or like you just add depth in the draft, and they kind of swung for the fence. It's pretty significant money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big dog deal for sure. Like he's going to be expected to make an impact
Yeah.
early. So kind of shocking because obviously we need this front 4
Yep.
to be figured the fuck out. I don't, Gallimore's nice, but I don't think he's
Sounds like can't sit here and say I know a lot.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
Like he's like a rotational type.
Yeah.
guy.
a big boy, first down,
Yep.
play against the run kind of thing. So yeah, I'm actually very surprised, but I'm excited because if you can get an impact player, you get an impact player. So.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Right.
Let's hope we can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you would also think that this is a Dennis Allen offseason too, where he kind of tried to make chicken salad out of chicken shit last year with what he had to work with on defense. And maybe this is like, hey, like I know like this guy, I can make this guy a stud here.
For sure. That's all I have Bears wise. other than other guys in the league, Malik Willis to the Dolphins,
Yeah.
Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys. I don't know if there's any other NFC North notes that you guys find interesting.
No, not NFC North in particular. I thought the running back market was kind of interesting, where you had Kenneth Walker going Chiefs and Travis Etienne going Saints, which they were both the teams were projected to get Jeremiah Love, and it's like maybe they think that he won't even fall to them. So I thought that was kind of interesting that those, and it's like are the Chiefs trying to load back up here after a bad year?
Yeah,
So
I think they are.
Yeah.
Kelsey's coming back. And
Yep. So no, but outside of that, it seems like there hasn't been a lot of Anzalone left the Lions, but there hasn't been a lot of other news besides
big
ones
stuff.
that you mentioned for the North.
Yeah, and then obviously it seems like last week the swirling of J.J. McCarthy being out potentially has picked up big time. So interesting.
That is very interesting.
That's
Oh
yeah. There's a lot of rumor swirling that they're looking for one of these bridge guys like a Kyler or.
That puts me as the number one JJ guy on the show in a tough spot.
Yeah, I'd say that clip might be, might never be deleted from the
tough
ether.
spot. Yeah, I get that one in my mentions almost weekly during football season.
I will never forget that week one. Get used to it. Get used to it.
I'm still a believer.
Hey,
I'm still a believer.
Hey, I get it.
It's too early to give up on JJ. He's just got to be healthy.
All right.
Now,
then.
in reality, I hope he does suck because that means the Vikings in the division is weaker. But it's just bad luck for me personally.
For sure. All in all, though, would you say? I mean, the Bears didn't get better last week.
No, they got worse.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy to say. Which, listen, there's a lot of course, I bet once we stop recording, we sign someone. But
it seems like that historically, that's how it goes for the show.
That's not good, though. The Bears didn't get better, but it's a long off season.
It's a long off season, and this is, I feel like I get bitten by this all the time too, where you like assume some growth. Like you assume December, January, Caleb will hit the ground running in September. You assume that, Burden will be better, Loveland will be better, Rome will be better, and like that's where you make it up, which I feel like every time I've ever said that about any athlete in this city, it's come back to bite me, but that is the hope.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Another one off the board because the Bears with, I think it was either DraftKings or Polymarket or one of those types of things.
Polymarket
Had the Bears projected as the odds-on favorite to sign Mike Evans, which I thought was insane, but he has just signed a 3-year deal with the 49ers.
Ooh, Mike Evans.
Yeah.
49ers.
Yeah.
I like that move. All right, then. We could roll this into the Robert Horry interview. Great time with Robert.
Dude, stud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great time if you're a fan of 90s, 2000s basketball. He's a fucking household name.
Which is my era.
Yes.
I kind of feel like my NBA fandom left with Robert Horry. Like as soon as he retired, I was like, all right, 2007, 8, whatever it was. That's when I really kind of fell off too.
All right, let's kick it over to Robert Horry.
Whoosh.
All right, so now we are in the interview portion of the show. We're joined by NBA legend Robert Horry. Robert, thanks for joining the show. I'm excited to talk to you, man.
Man, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, so let's start it off with this, though. You're doing some great things with healthcare. I'd love for you to kind of let the people know what you got cooking right now with that.
I'm partnered up with this company called Sureco, and the best way to describe what we do, because you know how difficult and how frustrating insurance could be. What we do is we come into companies and we talk to HR and brokers, and that's the first thing I want to say, because a lot of times, brokers get paid off, the insurance they bring in for their company. We're not going behind anybody's back. We're not trying to cut anybody out. We're joining up with you to try to make healthcare and your insurance policy better for your employees. Basically, the best way to say it is we're going to customize your insurance so it benefits you the best way it can. And that's just simple, man. I know it sounds simple, but sometimes the best things in life are simple.
Bro, nothing is simple about insurance. We had the open enrollment every year. I'm like, I don't know what any of this shit means.
It's weird, the reason I joined up with Sureco is because when I retired from the NBA, my daughter who passed away at 17 had a lot of healthcare issues. And when I got out of the NBA, I'm like, oh man, how am I going to pay for this? Cobra only lasts 16 months. And when Cobra ended, I was very fortunate that Obamacare kicked in. And once Obamacare kicked in, insurance company had to, give me insurance for my daughter. And it was so frustrating for me and my ex-wife to try to figure out how we were going to pay all these bills, man. If I showed you the stack of the bills, let me just say this: you stood on top of them. I'm 6'10", you'd be taller than me, and it was just it was frustrating, man. I had to pay out of pocket, so half my NBA check went to insurance.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, yeah, you're obviously going through something horrible, and then you see a stack of bills to make it even a reminder of worse. So that sucks. So, Sherco, I'm definitely going to check it out. I recommend everyone else does so as well. But Robert, thanks for jumping on, man. I'm probably going through it. I was always under the impression that it's Big Shot Bob. Is it Big Shot Rob or Bob? Well, which one do you prefer?
It started out by Craig Kilborn. It came out as Bob. And I happened to, it was during the playoffs, and I just happened to run into him. And my mother had said, I don't like when he calls you Bob. I want him to call you Rob. And I told him that as a joke. And the next time he came on ESPN, he said it. And so it goes back and forth, and I prefer Bob in honor of my father who passed away. So I take Bob.
Okay. I was going to welcome you with that, but then I'm like, I don't know which one it is. So I got nervous and just said nothing.
Hey, now the crazy part, a lot of people don't. They just said Big Shot,
Yeah.
They just, hey, so.
Well, take us through that too, because you've had an unbelievable career with the 7 rings, multiple on multiple teams that are just all-time memorable teams for guys our age, and you always seem to be in that clutch moment. How do you kind of even just stay loose and be able to hit that? Because it's not like you had the ball a ton. You were with Dream and and Drexler and all these different guys. So what is the psychology behind getting ready and always coming through in that moment?
So basically, I was playing a lot of ball hogs. I got that. No, you know what? I'm totally kidding. You think about the guys I played with: Dream, Clyde, Kobe, Shaq, and Manu, Tim, and Tony. I played with some great guys, and they all made the game really easy for me. But I always tell them, I said, I don't make the product, but I damn sure make it better. So when you add me to the team, I can analyze the team and do what the team needs to make it better. And that's just how I've always been. If you needed me to score, I could score, defend, rebound, block shots, get steals. I just have the ability to analyze the situation. It just came from me loving the game and want to win. Mm-hmm. Because so many people want to win, but do you know how to win? And that's the biggest thing. Do you know how to sacrifice your game to make other guys better? Do you know how to analyze that guy and go to him and talk to him on a level that he can understand you? Like if you need that pat on the back, you pass on the back. You need a kick in the ass, you kick him in the ass. And that's what I've been able to do throughout my career.
I know so many people have asked you about that shot in the finals against the Kings, and I've always been curious what your interaction has been like with Vlade Divac, if you've had any, because listen, by all accounts, he did the right thing. Swat that thing out of there, get it away from Shaq, and end this damn game. What's it been like when you've seen Vlade, if at all?
The first time I ran into Vlade, he just looked at me and shook his head. And I have a cool picture of me standing between Vlade and Chris Webber. One of them guys is fish like him, the other one guy's fish like that. And so it's just a cool little picture. I think the best thing about that is Vlade is a competitor. And one of the things that people didn't realize about Vlade, he's one of the smartest players to play this game. He was one of the guys that was tough at guarding Shaq. And you can't say that about many people. And like you said, he did what he's taught to do. If you can't secure it at the end of the game, just tap it out. And it was weird because for a long when I was standing at the top of the key, I'm just so used to Kobe kicking it back to me for the win. But he had such a direct line to the basket that he took that chance to take us into overtime. But it worked out in our favor, and I think that shot for me is number one of all the big shots I made, just because it was done at home. And and every athlete has an ego. So think about this. You got a Staples Center now, Crypto.com, filled with people that chant your name. And you want that as a player because it makes you feel good. And I love that moment, especially growing up a Laker fan when I was a little kid.
Yeah, and listen, you guys just had battles with the Kings all the time for the Western Conference Finals. And, granted, you guys always came out on top, but you're right. It was at home, and just the body language in the faces of that team as they walk off the court, they were just scarred. That was the kill shot.
Yeah, they were kind of done after that. Yeah, exactly. Nice assist by Vlade.
yeah. Hey, don't get me wrong. I do love going on. I have only 4 pictures of my career hanging up in my house, and the other pictures of me when I hit that dagger against the Detroit Pistons when I was with the Spurs. And the only reason I put that up is, all the expressions of the people's face in the crowd. And out of all those people, you got like two people like this. And so, it's just, those moments right there mean so much to me, especially on that stage. Playing in the finals, I was very fortunate to go 7-0 in the finals.
What of those three teams, and you could pick, I want to know which team you think was your best team.
Man, I think if you look at the 95 team, we kind of like revolutionized basketball. We moved me from the small forward to the power forward. We kind of say, okay, this is small ball. And the way we played then is how the game is played now. Small forward playing a power forward, and power forward playing, the center spot. So
you're to blame for this.
I'm to blame for this, but not the damn threes. That ain't my fault.
Yeah, okay.
That's AAU and guys not going to college for more than 1 year.
Okay, all right.
That's their fault. But no, I think if you're making me pick one, I'm gonna go with the most dominant player ever, Shaquille O'Neal. That when we went 16-1 in the finals, that team was just rolling, man.
Mm-hmm.
Can nobody get in our way? We would come out, we could be down 5, 10, 15. We just knew we was gonna win, and I think that team is the best team of all time that ever played. You can take the Bulls, they wouldn't have beat us. You can take the Pistons. Draymond Green loves to say that team up in Golden State was like, no, dog. I don't think you realize how good Shaq and Kobe were, and how the rest of us could just lock you up defensively.
Who would be your coach on that? Would you choose Phil Jackson or Pop? Because those are two of the greatest coaches of all time, and you got front seat for both.
Phil. Because Phil was the one that coached that team.
Yeah, okay.
Excuse me. So I would take Phil. Don't get me wrong. Pop was a hell of a coach. Rudy T was a hell of a coach. But the way he made us move the basketball, if you look at how it is now, it's a fast-paced game, and it's a lot of dribble weave outside trying to get the mismatches. We had a mismatch every time we came down the floor with Kobe and Shaq, so we always had the advantage.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I was born in '90, so we're both Chicago guys too, Rob, and that's why, so we'll get into some Bull stuff here in a little, but
that's why I said,
yeah, exactly, and unfortunately, I was just too young to really enjoy Jordan. He was a little older than me, so he remembers it better, but I still maintain that Shaq's the most dominant player I've ever seen in my life.
No doubt.
Like what he was doing in the early 2000s was just different. But how do you think he'd fit in? Like if Shaq was there in today's game, like does he just adapt, or I don't know. How do you view that would go?
If you go back and look at when Shaq played, there's a lot of guys should get down and pray to God. Thank you for the era of Shaq, because they wouldn't be able to play in this era because they're so big and clunky, and they needed that to like guard Shaq. And even though people says, "Oh, it's a 3-ball game," let me just say this: if after a while Shaq done fouled all your guys, I don't give a damn how many threes you're gonna shoot. You can't stop him, because eventually you're gonna miss some threes. Shaq ain't gonna miss no dunks. He might miss one dunk out of 100.
Yep.
And I think that at the end of the day, basketball is about getting buckets. And I don't think people understand that. If you go back to the Lakers and the Celtics era, when they was in the championship, everybody said, "Oh, slow down." That series, they averaged like 110 points. Nobody ever talks about that.
Yeah.
If you go back, and they say, "Oh, it was a slow down game." No, it was a fast-paced game. It depends on the teams.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you take out the Golden State Warriors, you tell me what teams have won championships shooting threes? None.
Yeah.
Think about it. And so people are like, well, who's going to win? Shaq and Kobe's going to win because they're going to put you on your heels defensively. They're going to score, and then they're just going to frustrate you. Because think about it. You go out and play your best defense, and a guy's still scoring, that's frustrating.
Yeah. What was as a guy in the locker room, and you said when to kick a guy in the ass, when to pat him on the back, how difficult was it to be in the whole Shaq and Kobe dynamic towards the end?
I was out there. I was out there. I was in San Antonio when it like all exploded, because and people will always talk about it in the media. And if you can't, I wish I had a camera and we could record our practices, locker rooms after practices. Kobe, Shaq, all of it would just sit around, icing up, laughing, joking, and it was never like, a guy look at a guy and walk out the locker room all pissed off, or a fight what happened in the locker room. I think, I never saw it.
Okay.
But then next time, you get in the paper, that's how long ago was the paper, it wasn't internet. It was like, oh, Shaq said this about Kobe. Kobe said this about Shaq. And that Phil was able to get those guys to like hide that from us, I think, because my best friend on the Rockets was Sam Cassell. My best friend on the Lakers was like Derek Fisher. And so when you win a championship, the guy you closest with is normally the guy you search out first to hug. If you go out and look at all the championships we won 3 in a row, they were always the first 2 guys to hug. And so I never felt like it was animosity, and they kept it from us. And I think it was because of guys like myself, B. Shaw, Ron Harper, AC Green, Harsh, all of us kind of massage egos and said the goal is to win a championship. And we were able to win 3 in a row there. And I think that was the best thing that crew that doesn't get talked about, how we were able to keep those 2 big dogs in line.
You bring up Derek Fisher, and he's another guy who hit one of the biggest shots of that decade,
It didn't count. It didn't count. That shit didn't count.
Genuinely.
Hey, in this era, it shouldn't have counted. You can't get a ball off that fast.
So it's interesting you say that, because it's been seared into my brain forever that all you need is 0.4 and you can get a shot off. So you're saying you can't.
You cannot. And think about it, you come in that way, you have to catch and turn. You cannot do that in 0.4 seconds, man. People, we be together, Derek Fisher and I, because we both work for Spectrum in LA covering the Lakers, and people be talking about the greatest shots, and here I look at Derek like, your shit didn't count. It shouldn't have counted, but it goes down in Laker history as one of the greatest shots too. But yeah, it's like I'm like number 1, and he's like 3, 4. He's way behind me, so I don't even worry about it.
Not a big deal. Was there ever a time there when playing with the Lakers, and that was such a great era for them? Have you ever had? I always ask people this. Have you ever had like one of those crazy Hollywood nights where you go out and you're like, holy shit, like Jack Nicholson's in that corner, this person's here, this person's there, where you're like, what's kind of going on in my life right now?
Oh man, it happened a few times. I think this one time I'm not a heavy metal band guy, but it was one of those hair bands. They invited me to a party, and I'm sitting at a table with everybody from Full House, and I go over here is Denzel Washington, and I'm like sitting here, you probably even know what Full House is,
I know Full House, yeah.
I grew up a big Stamos fan, so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at his wife. I'm like, man, she is pretty. And I'm looking at this crew. You just had so many of those moments where you get on a phone call with Jack Nicklaus because he wants you to come to a party, Selma High, and then all of a sudden the ball goes out of bounds. You're standing by Halle Berry, and you're like, damn, you really are beautiful. And so, and then when you go to San Antonio, all you got is just the sexy boy. What's it, Bret Hart? What's the man, the guy?
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. That's all you got is Shawn Michaels. So it's a big difference.
That's awesome.
Oh, and Tommy Lee. I forgot about Tommy Lee Jones. Like those are 2 you get when you go to San Antonio. But that was it. But the nights in LA was just so much fun. But I had to make sure that you kept everything under. You have to understand that you're there for a reason. That's to play basketball. You get invited to these premieres and all these things. You would want to go, but hey, my job is more important than hanging out with the superstars.
Yeah. It's gotta be tough, man.
I've listened to you talk on other podcasts, and obviously here too, where you seem like you have like a really great understanding, obviously, 2 of the best coaches ever, all these great teams. Have you ever thought about getting into management or coaching? Because it feels like the way you speak, it'd be like a natural transition for you.
Thank you, man. I'm honored. When I first came out when I ended NBA, my NBA career, I wanted to. My daughter got really sick because Kurt Rambis asked me to go coach with him in Minnesota.
Okay.
And my daughter got really sick, and so I said, I just can't take the job right now. Family's too important. And then I got asked a couple of times by Frank Vogel and Luke Walton, the coach with the Lakers. And I looked at the team, and I looked at the paycheck, and I looked at Spectrum. I was like, nah, I make more money in the studio than to go coach. And the thing about what people don't understand, let's take Ty Lue, for instance. Ty Lue, one of my good friends, is younger than me. I mean, hell, coaching has made him look like he's 10 years older than me. So I'm too vain to coach, man, because I don't want to look old, stressed out.
That's hilarious.
But I would love to be coaching. If they had a coaching job where I didn't have to travel, I would take that job, because the traveling for 41 games is hard on your body. And I got tired. That's one of the reasons I retired, because I was just tired of traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say that, as I'm sitting in a hotel in Houston, Texas.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. So now let's
Mm-hmm.
do some Chicago stuff here, because I did see, I believe it was on Dan Patrick recently, where you said, like, no question you're beating MJ's Bulls even if he did play in those years where he took the sabbatical. He came back at the end of the 1 year. But what grounds do you have to say that on, Rob? Like, what makes you think that was the Rockets' time?
I got one word for you: dream. And the reason I can say this because I played for Phil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I know how Phil coaches. And I remember we were playing the Spurs, and I'm guarding Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is like, we had just beat them the year before, so Tim kind of was counteracting the little sneaky things I was doing defensively to try to contain him. And so I think Tim probably averaged 34 on me in that series. I mean, he's cooking me, right? And I'm saying, Phil, I need a damn double team, dude. And no, we ain't gonna double team. No, one man won't beat you. And I'm like, you think Bill Cartwright, what's the guy from Australia? All these guys,
Luke Longley.
Yeah, you think these guys could have guarded Dream? Hell no. And you go back and I think that I'm not saying this would have been happened, but Vernon Maxwell, you can ask MJ himself. The guy sitting over your shoulder. One of the toughest guys that guarded him was Vernon Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I knew I could have, contained Scotty a little bit. And so the matchups was perfect. And if you go look, I think our record against the Bulls when I was with the with the Rockets was something like 4-2. And so we weren't worried about them because they had no answer for Dream. I know, so you have no answer for Jordan, but trust me, Jordan shooting 15-foot jumpers and Dream shooting 5-foot jumpers and jump hooks and killing. Well, you saw what he did to David Robinson in '95. So,
yeah.
And that's one of the things that people don't understand. Like, you go 3 championships in a row. We went 3 championships in a row when I was with the Lakers. That next year in the playoffs, we were exhausted. Yeah. When we got to the Spurs, we were just like, okay, our legs couldn't move. And it was just so people basically saying that Jordan would have won 8 championships in a row. And I think people forget Jordan. Every player does lose sometimes. So yeah, I think we'd have won that series.
Yeah, I mean,
a hell of a series.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. I think that's the best basis there, where it's like it's just so hard to win 8 championships. Yeah. It's not been done, So,
yeah, just Bill Russell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, I get that for sure. And then you also said, I believe, like without question, or maybe it was close, that Scotty was the best defender on those Bulls teams.
I know people said, well, he never won a defensive player of the year, and let's be honest. Jordan, one of the greatest players ever, one of the greatest defenders ever, but when you overshadowed by such greatness, sometimes people take what you do for granted, and I think a lot of the things Scotty did was taken for granted. Think about what he was able to do on the defensive end, playing point guards, playing 3s, 4s, and 2s. And when I said that, it's amazing how when you say something that people don't agree, they think you cuckoo. But at the end of the day, it's my opinion. And I think if you look down and analyze, it's like, I don't know the stats. I'm not a stat guy, but I think Scotty probably had more all defensive teams than Jordan. And I just think that when you look at who he could guard and what he could do, he's so devalued, and I don't think people understand how good he was. And it's just, I might be, I'm a little biased because I grew up a Scottie Pippen fan, but I just think he kind of like, was that guy that could guard anybody. He could shoot the ball, and I think, but I'm just a Scottie fan, so I'm gonna stop right there.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah,
and I just think he's so devalued by a lot of people, and they don't respect him.
Yeah, no, I think that's starting to change. It feels like more appreciation comes to Scotty as the years go on. I would say at least.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. It was just a weird thing with him and Jordan, and then you had the whole fallout from the Last Dance, and it's like, well, maybe we should really take a look at what went on here. Who was would you say outside? Like, I kind of want you to pick your starting 5 because you talk so glowingly of teammates that you've had.
Oh, like team-wise,
yes.
Like not an all-star team. If you're in the starting 5, who's
the 4
you got to
build a team to win a championship out of guys that you've played with.
Clyde, Kobe, Shaq, Dream, and me.
Wow,
no point guards. No point guards.
When you think about the triangle, name me like was, Derek Fisher's a point guard. Ron Harper's not really a point guard. So you had Ron and Kobe starting the back. Kobe can handle the rock.
Yeah.
Jordan be too. But, and then when I say this, now Spurs fans going to get mad. Like, well, where's Tim Duncan? Where's Mother? It's like, no, you got to understand. Shaq was the most dominant player ever. Jordan, Kobe, and like, when you talk about Jordan, when you talk about Kobe, who did Kobe emulate? Jordan. Tell me what Jordan did and Kobe did. They the same damn player, really. You know what I mean? It's incredible how when you see the videos side by side, they the same damn player. So people don't give Kobe, enough credit. Him being, if you say Jordan is the greatest of all time, and Kobe copied him to a T, why we don't say Kobe is the greatest of all time? You know what I mean? But so that's why I got those two guys at my guard. And you think I'm not going to put myself on the floor to play with those three greats?
Yeah.
And if some people say, well, man, you got to bring yourself off the bench. All right, if I got to bring myself off the bench, I think if I'm gonna put someone in the small forward spot that I played with, it's gonna have to be Clyde. Because think about it, I got Kobe, Clyde. I mean, I already know I said Dream. I mean, I already used Clyde. I got Kobe, Clyde, and probably Manu.
Okay.
And then me and Tim will come off the bench.
That's a decent team.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Not naming yourself now. If you had to pick someone to hit, have you had to pick someone to hit a three for your life? Who you taking? Pick one teammate and then one person all time.
Teammate Kobe. I just think he was able to create his own shot and do. Even though. Like Dream and Clyde and Tim and Tony, all those guys could do. But I think because Kobe can post up, he can, one of the things that I really loved about his ability to go hard to the right or hard to the left and hit a pull-up jumper at any moment. So I take Kobe. And if I'm picking someone, this is probably going to be a person that's going to like, not Steph, not LeBron. I'm taking Damian Lillard.
Oh.
I like that answer.
Yeah. Because he's literally done made a clutch shot against every team he's ever played against.
Yeah.
Look what he just did in All-Star. Ain't played a lick. Bad Achilles. And still won the three-point shooting contest. I just think him, Dame time, his ability to, be cocky enough and confident enough to just knock down threes at any moment. So I'm taking Damian Lillard.
Yeah. In any of your 7 championships, was there a point in the finals where you were like, we're in trouble? Like you were actually scared that you guys weren't going to pull through?
The Knicks.
Yeah.
Because, I just look, the first championship was hard because, it was 2-3-2. We go to New York, down 1-1, and like, oh my goodness. And plus, I was a novice. I was only in my second year in the league. And so my mindset was like, oh shit, we need to, do this. Oh my goodness. You think about me. I'm wearing 215 at the time. I'm going up against Oakley, Mason, the UN, and it was.
They're bad boys on that team.
Hey, there was some physical games, and you think about a great coach and Pat Riley, and that was just a series where I'm sitting there like, man, because I didn't know, I'm new to the game. So after that, even though we were, after that, I'm like, you think about the next year we sweep, the next year we beat Indiana, then next year, we lose one, and then we sweep. It's like after that, I'm like. I'm like sitting back because I know I'm gonna win. I said because plus you gotta understand the West was so strong.
Yeah.
That once you get out of the West, like we're gonna beat these other teams.
Did you ever look at that time when you were like, having potential free agency or roster moves, being like, get me to the East?
No. Hey man, I'm from the dirty South. I'm from Alabama. I don't like cold weather, so when I did when the Rockets was foolish enough to trade me for that 48 hours to Detroit Pistons, and I got off the plane in Detroit and I saw all that snow, I was like, man, this ain't for me. And so I just knew the East Coast is a lot of snow, and I couldn't go East Coast. Think about it. I was just supposed to be in Chicago a couple weeks ago, and I called Hard and said, man, we got to postpone this interview, man, because it's cold in Chicago. I can't do it.
That's great. Well, Robert, thank you for your time. I guess the one thing we'll kind of end on here is, and I don't even know how locked in you are because obviously you're paying attention to the Lakers out there. A lot of stuff going out there with LeBron, Luka, and everything. But our Bulls, we're it feels like we're back in the dark ages to some extent. I don't know.
We've been living in the dark ages.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have any thoughts on the Bulls.
Man, I was a big White fan. I really loved him, and I thought when y'all had Levine and everybody that was going to be a team, but you just couldn't stay healthy. Yeah. And that's one of the things about the NBA game. You got to stay healthy, and then you got to have a good bench. And I look at the Bulls and you think about historical franchises and Jordan put the Bulls on the map and you always want them to do good because it's good for the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that they hate to say and use this word, now that they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just bad for the game. And sometimes, I think it has to do with management. If you get the right management up in there and you do it the right way. And I think a lot of times you think about management. You think about the late great Jerry West and how he was able to get people to come play for the Clippers, people to come play for Memphis, wherever he was. Management with the Bulls has kind of been shaky. Think about it. If you F over Jordan, people,
Yeah.
but that's generational. It's not like if you F over Robert Horry, they be like, ah, shit, that's just Robert Horry. But you F over Jordan, it's like that stink is gonna stay on you for a long time. And I think a lot of players go back and say, man, you screwed over Jordan. I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
And so they got to figure out a way, to do something. Bring somebody in the fold, the great. They just retired Derrick Rose's number, so that's kind of a way of them to try to, put out the fires little by little. So they just need to. I think they need to just, clean
Sell
up
the team
and get somebody. That would work too. The hell,
Yeah.
the Lakers just did it. So
Yeah.
if the Lakers can sell, anybody can sell.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Well, Robert, thanks again, man. Go check out Shirt Co. He's doing great things with them. We really appreciate your time, man.
No, thank you guys. It's been a fun one, man.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again to Robert Horry. Appreciate you joining the show.
I got a problem with you.
What's wrong?
That's the third or fourth time on the show you've said Robert Horry.
Yeah, I know.
It's Robert Horry. That H
I don't
is-
like that.
The H is silent.
I don't know if it is.
I
It
didn't
is.
correct him because I thought I've been saying
No.
it wrong.
No, Robert Horry.
30
No.
years.
I don't. That makes me think of like an oar with a boat. So I don't.
Well, I can't tell. I
no,
can't
I
help.
don't like it. I think it's Horry.
You didn't like how he was Big Shot Bob either.
I don't like that either. Yeah, no, I like Big Shot Bob.
Oh, you don't like Big Shot Rob?
Rob,
Rob,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, I always
I don't know. It's Robert Horry.
An H. The H. It definitely exists if you look at it.
It's there.
Yes, it exists.
It is silent.
All right, now we'll move it over. Blackhawks. Connor Murphy's gone.
Yeah.
Felino's gone. No
Yeah.
surprises though.
No, but like a good job by Kyle. We put that interview out. I don't know if you guys caught this at all. People are not happy in general with Kyle Davidson.
Because of the interview or because of what?
No, because of like the team still sucks because he's been here a full presidential term now. So he's been here over 4 years, and it's just like, when is this thing going to actually turn? And it hasn't yet. And it's like, so you get to another trade deadline, and it's another round of, selling off assets for futures. And I think, and I understand this. Like, I understand that they haven't been a good team, like an actual really good team, since 2015. And people are, they're starting to be impatient with him. I've heard that he's going to get a new deal pretty soon. So he's not going anywhere. I think he is doing a good job. The cupboard was exceptionally bare. And we did see the beginning of this year, they were a very good team right up until, or a very good team, but like in the playoff mix, right up until Bedard and Nazar got hurt. And then everything went to shit. So you trade Murphy. I love Connor Murphy. We've gotten to know him a little bit.
Yeah.
Good guy. Came into like an impossible situation. It was a Stan Bowman special. You trade him for Nick Hjalmarsson straight up. Nick Hjalmarsson still had probably 3 elite years as a defender left, and Murphy was trying to find his way. And he starts off with Joel, and Joel didn't love him because he wasn't Hjalmarsson right away. And then he just existed in this like miserable era here in Chicago and always did the right things and said the right things and was like a pro's pro. So I am happy that he went to a place where he will get to experience like actual playoff hockey, which he's never had in his career. He went from the Coyotes to us, two of the worst franchises in the last 15 years. Yep. So I'm happy for him. They also traded Jason Dickinson to Edmonton. So look, they got a first and a second plus a good depth player who just didn't fit in at Edmonton, Mangiapane, who can be here for another couple of years on the third, fourth line, kind of an energy guy. And so it's more draft picks, more draft picks.
How many firsts do they have this year and next year?
Well, that's remains to be seen because there was conditions around the Spencer Knight, Seth Jones trade. So if that ends up in the top 10, Florida retains it. If not, it's probably going to be kicked to either 27 or 28 because they have some other trade that they did with the Bruins where there's conditions where it's like top 2 protected or something, I think, for next year. So, but they'll eventually, so they, as it stands right now, they have 2 firsts and 3 number 2s. Next year they have 2 firsts and 2 number 2s. They have a first and 2 number 2s in 2028. So it's still like a lot of draft picks. My hope is that these ones in 27 and 28 become trade chips. So, or even this summer, if the Brady Tkachuk rumors are starting to swirl, Matthew Nyes' name was out there, the Maple Leafs young player who I know like the Hawks front office scouts have had like a hard on for him for a long time. I would assume the Leafs are asking for the world, but I think there's momentum towards like maybe going out and getting that bigger pick, even though Kyle wouldn't say it when he's sitting right here, because they need that. And then you're going to have Anton Frondell, who is, number 3 pick last year. He'll be here by the end of this month. And then you just kind of hope that.
But is it the lack of patience? Is it people just being like, man, I just want this team to be good again? Or it's like, this guy's not doing the right things? Because I think those are 2 very different things.
I think that there's a few things going on that people are sick of losing, which I understand.
Fair.
I also think people understand that, or don't have an understanding of how long it takes for a guy drafted at 18 to be an impact player in the NHL. You see Connor Bedard, and we've had a few of these over our time here in the last 20 years as Hawks fans, where it's like Dave's gained right to the NHL studs right away,
Yeah.
But most guys, you draft them, they play a year or 2 or 3 in college, and it's a little bit different now with the whole junior thing. Then you're in the AHL for a little bit, and then you come up and you do like a half a year, but you have some bumps in the road, a la Alex Vlasic, Wyatt Kaiser, Frank Nazar, Lev Shinov, Korchinski, like all these guys, like it, and this is like a natural thing. Like you look at who they took at the end of the first round last year, Mason West. He goes back to his high school, wins a state championship as a quarterback. Then he goes to junior. Next year he's going to Michigan State. He'll do at least 2 years at Michigan State. Then he'll probably do at least a full year in Rockford and then another half. So you're looking at like 2029, 2030 before you have a first round pick that's going to make any sort of impact here. So it just does it, like there was nothing here other than Alex Vlasic as a young player.
And if I could say this as well, you correct me, you're the hockey guy, but it's not a true 4 years. He took over right after Stan made the Seth Jones deal, right?
Jones was already here.
Yes.
Yeah.
He took over after then. They just gave him a mega deal. You kind of had to see that out for a second. They tried to put a little more tread on the tires for Kane and Taze's last kind of run, right?
So that was really Stan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Breaking news. The Bears just signed a linebacker, $30 million. Lance, do you got the details?
What? Way to break in.
Devin Bush, 3 years, $30 million.
Devin Bush from the Browns is
Okay.
what we have right now.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
Sorry to cut you off.
Erase all that DeMarco Jackson takes from the first half of the show. But that's what I'm saying.
Good.
That was
Yeah.
Stan. So, like, Davison takes over. He kind of, like, sees that out. So that's almost
But he didn't. So I think if he could have traded Seth Jones earlier, he would have.
Yeah.
Because really, right when he was put in charge, that's like within the first 6 months to a year, Brandon Hagel was traded, Jake McCabe was traded. Then you saw DeBrincat and Kirby Doc on that first draft day. Then you saw, Patrick Kane was traded. Jonathan Taves hit the road. And so he really did do a deep, deep teardown. And I do think that he should get credit for some of these kind of savvy moves that he's made. The Dickinson trade, where Vancouver was like desperate to get rid of him. The Blackhawks took that contract on and got a second round pick just for taking him. Then you turn around, he was a pretty solid player here, very good penalty killer. The Hawks sneaky have one of the better penalty kills in the league. It's going to tank now that they lost Murphy and Dickinson. But then they were able to flip him and Murph for a first and a second. Like that's just objectively good business. And, you look at Lucas Reichel, they got a fourth for him from Vancouver like 2 or 3 months ago. Vancouver turned around and traded him at the deadline to Boston for a 6th. So, like, he's getting out ahead of some of these things. They needed an elite goalie. There was finally a market for Seth Jones. They retained some salary to make it happen, but they get a legitimate number 1 goalie and a first-round pick. So, like, his horse trading and stuff has been good. He will be judged on the drafts because it was, his prerogative. Because you could have, and I said this at the time, where it's like, if you're going to do this deep rebuild, tear down, you have to be winning the Stanley Cup. Because you could have had, like, you look at how good Brandon Hagel is and DeBrincat, and, like, Kirby Dach's never really become what anybody hoped he would be, but he's still a serviceable NHL player. Like, you could have had a little nucleus and filled in around the edges and been a wild card team. You would nothing beyond that, but, like, you could have just kind of, like, treaded water here, kind of, do what the Penguins have been doing with Crosby and Malkin and Letang, and just try to remain competitive through the end of Kane and Taves' career. And he was bold and decided to go a different route. So the only way it works out is if all of these picks, which there have been so many, hit. And it looks like Rinzel's a hit. I feel like Kaiser might have been a stand, but Kaiser's a hit. Vlasic's a hit. Nazar's a good player. Bedard's obviously a stud. But it's like the Ryan Greens, who looks like a very good player. That guy being a hit as a second-round pick. Like, you need, like, Frondels and all these guys to, like, really emerge. Kanserov, who's going to come over in the summer most likely, top scorer in the KHL, under 23. Like, they need these guys to work. Otherwise, he's failed. So it's like you have to be a little bit patient because we just don't know. Oliver Moore is a good player. Like, he's had a lot of, like, the only guy where you're like, that one's not looking like it's going to work out is Korchinski. Everyone else is still, like, kind of tracking the right way where they might not be stars, but they could be good NHL players. Yeah. And then you have to be able to go out and take some of these assets that we just listed off at the top of this part of the show and find a way to turn that into another star player. So, because it's hard to find them in the draft. And I remember talking with somebody a while ago where it's like, you need to win the cup, you need to have, like, an MVP type guy. Bedard could be that. You got to have a Vezina, top 10 goalie. I think Spencer Knight is that. You normally need, like, a number 1, like a Norris guy. It doesn't look like they have that. Okay. And then you could really use a Selke, like, defensive shutdown center. Maybe that's Frondel. Maybe Ryan Green becomes something like that. Doesn't feel like they have that yet. But the Panthers won the cup without a Norris guy. But they just had, like, a ton of, like, very, very good players. Mm-hmm. And it's like, maybe that's what the decor looks like. But it's, they're going to be very young again next year. Hopefully they stay healthy and they can be in around that wild card discussion. And then the next year is when you would be like, all right, it's time to not only just be in the playoffs, but do a little something, because you would think, like, you look at the Jets cratered. The Wild might be in trouble because they could lose Quinn Hughes. Dallas is going to probably lose Robertson. They're going to have, and then Sagan's going to retire, and they're going to, Jamie Benn's, they're like core of their team outside of the defense is going to kind of crumble. So it's like there's teams always kind of rising and falling. And if you look at what the Eastern Conference looks like this year, the Panthers and Leafs suck. And you see Detroit and Buffalo, who've been building for a long time, are finally, and Montreal are now firmly in the playoffs. That's going to happen in the West pretty soon. And the Hawks better be in that group of the risers.
Yeah. I mean, just still wait and see mode.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it absolutely sucks. I'm so tired of watching this team. Yeah. Like, I'm tired of watching this team.
Yeah.
So I understand everyone's frustrations, but there's just, the timeline is the timeline.
Yep. All right, then. Devin Bush, good signing.
Yeah.
Really good signing.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, then. That's the show. Anything else?
The Bears' defense looks a little better now than it did 20 minutes ago, Ed.
That's true.
Perfect. All right, then. That's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, everyone. We will be back next week. We'll see you then.